Jaguar will go on and on about this being their stiffest car ever, their highest performance production car ever, a bunch of superlatives that car makers are given to. I'll give you one more. It's their most fun car ever. That's the highest compliment. Let's drive this 2015 F-Type S Coupe and check the tech. Now, I never thought I'd be able to say this, but here's a car that makes the Jag F-Type Roadster look homely. It's sinfully gorgeous. Now, all this rendered in very light, stiff aluminum for the most part. In fact, Jag says almost the entire side of the car is one big stamping. If I did the math right, it's like 25,000 pound-feet of torque to twist this guy longitudinally this way, 1 degree. Makes for a great platform for a car that you want to be precise and responsive. Now, we have an S. That means we're nearly 78 base. The Vision package, 2,400 more for smart front headlights, sonar and camera, cross-traffic and blind spot. Performance package is 3,400 more. Gets you a dynamic mode you can tweak, a sport exhaust you'll need earplugs for, red disc calipers, I can live without that, sport seats and wheel. A new apps package we'll look at in a moment is 400, and HD and satellite radio come together at 450. All in about $87,000 the way we'd set it up. Not a cheap date. Let's see what you get. Now, one of the first things I'm taken by in an F-Type Coupe cabin is the relative sense of fun and levity going on here. I mean, look at the instrument panel. That ain't no German car. It's full of this garish color, italicized numbers. When you move into a manual shift mode, you get this big superhero number for your gear position. This car is all about fun. It's also about some silly. You got the grab handle over here. For some reason, the upper register vents go up and down via power. I have no idea why or by what logic. Performance controls have a rubbery gold finish on them. This dynamics mode button, the start-stop, the paddles on the wheel, and the little button that looks like binoculars down here actually opens up the exhaust so it sounds like the hounds of hell. The head unit is a clean interface. I've seen it before on Jags. It's not my favorite by any stretch. It's rectangular and boxy at the expense of being terribly well thought out, at least to my eye. It's all touch. There's no control knob to speak of. You do have some home run buttons around the sides here. The problem with that is being deep set and being touch only is kind of like a mission from hell, especially when you want to get down to things on the edges. It just kind of bonks into your knuckles as you're trying to press things. Not great ergo. What's really not great ergo is this car doesn't have any voice command at all. I was shocked by that. On the other hand, the climate knobs are sheer genius. Putting the number and the state of seat heat in the middle of the knob that controls it, why can't every control be like this? This is new here, in-control apps. This brings you a flavor of Android Auto, the first one I've seen in a production car. I'm running an app on the phone that allows me to set up a series of other apps that show up here, and when I do that, blanks out the phone screen, so this becomes a feeder for the head unit. The good news is it's super clear, easy to navigate with, nice big indicators. The bad news is I've never heard of any of these things except for Stitcher. It's all rather admirable as an early effort at least, but that's if you can keep the phone and the car talking to each other, which was more than I could do. There's also an additional navigation app you can put on here, Sigic, for 120 bucks. Luckily, we've got Nav Standard on these cars, and it's perfectly functional. Okay, driving the F-Type, you've got your standard PRND and Sport Gate shifter right here. Here is your drive mode controller, back one for dynamic mode, up one for snow mode, or the middle position is normal. You can decide what dynamic mode does with this screen menu here. You've also got a track timer and a G-force gauge and a couple other doohickeys you'll use about once or twice. Under the neat-looking front hood is the thinking driver's engine. This is the supercharged V6. 3 liters of displacement. The supercharger is neatly buried down inside the V of the heads. Makes for a tidy low package. The numbers are good, 375 horsepower, 339 pound-feet of torque. Currently only rear-wheel drive and only through an 8-speed sport automatic gearbox. Wait a model year, and the 2016s are going to offer all-wheel drive for the first time and a 6-speed manual for the first time. I may just talk you out of buying an F-Type for now. Now, we have an S. That means we have a slightly hotter version of the 3-liter V6. The base car has the same architecture, but they don't wring as much out of it. As a result, this guy gets up to 60 in 4.8, and you're going to get 1927 mpg. You know all that talk about rigidity in the shell? I don't think I'm imagining it. You really do feel it. It doesn't seem to have any give anywhere, which is equally impressive that the ride is not punishing. Going along with the engine's eagerness, and there's no lag because we've got a supercharger, and it's the happy breathing engine anyway, is this really quick ZF automatic gearbox. Shifts are about as fast as I could want, especially if you get into your dynamics mode or sport mode, and yet you retain the civility of an automatic that a lot of dual clutch gearboxes don't have. The adaptive suspension samples the road 100 times per second. The rear wing goes up at 70 and then down again at 50. The exhaust is interesting. I'm sure you've heard it by now. This car calls too much attention to itself all the time. I'd like it to go from mutedly sporty to obnoxious. Here, in this car, it goes from obnoxious to incredibly obnoxious. There's nothing below obnoxious. And that is ticket bait, even if you're not speeding. In sum, this is Jag's most successful car in ages. It does what it sets out to do, and you know me, I love cars that do that, whatever it is.